UFC is back at the Apex this weekend, seeing a flyweight title eliminator, seeing Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira. All this and more in Fighting with Friends. Yo, welcome back to the CPS Reports. It's your boy, Brother Gaia. I am here to break down this weekend's UFC Fight Night, Royval versus Taira, live this Sunday, 13th of October at 1 a.m. South African time. I am alone this time, but you will see the rest of the panel back when we do our recap. Let me break it down for you guys. Starting with the main card, we see Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira in a flyweight MMA bout. Obviously, this is a title eliminator. Brandon Royval is currently ranked number 1 in the flyweight division, whereas Tatsuro Taira is currently ranked at number 5. Also, 16 wins with no losses. So the boy is undefeated as it stands. But he is going up against one of the hottest fighters in the flyweight division to date, in Brandon Royval. His record in the UFC currently stands at, not in the UFC, his MMA record currently stands at 16 wins, 7 losses, and 0 no contests. He's got 4 wins by knockout, 9 wins by submission, and 10 first round finishes. And what's quite amazing about Brandon Royval is that his striking accuracy, although it only stands at 37%, it's still relatively very high. Where his takedown accuracy is at 60%, with a significant strikes per minute landed at 4.33. So that's really good. It means that he's obviously super active. We all know how Road Dogg likes to fight. He pushes the pace almost in every fight that he's in. His last fight, he fought against the former champion in Brandon Moreno, and winning that fight by split decision. Was quite close. He lost to he lost to Alexander Pantoja in the fight before that, in a title fight at unanimous decision. And he also was on a 4-fight win streak prior to that fight. Obviously, beating fighters like Kai de France, fought Danny Moreno twice, like I just mentioned. He beat Mateus Nicolau as well. All the hot prospects that are in the flyweight as it stands today. So Brandon Royval is pretty much in the right position to stay in and around the sort of title conversation, because he beat Brandon Moreno, fought to a very close fight. Okay, he lost the fight with Pantoja, but he fought really well in that one as well. So it maintains his status as the number 1 contender in the flyweight division, whereas Tatsuro is on the come up. Hasn't necessarily fought as big of the names. Excuse me, hasn't fought as big of the names. Obviously, the biggest one was his last fight where he beat Alex Perez by KO. And obviously other names like CJ Vergara as well wasn't doing too bad. But Tatsuro comes in with very good numbers. He's got 8 first-round finishes, 5 wins by knockout, 7 wins by sub, 66% striking accuracy with a 47% takedown accuracy as well. And his significant strikes landed per minute is not as high as Brandon Royval's, but it is standing at 3.56 significant strikes per minute. So he's also quite active, fighting out of Team Alpha Male. You know, he's from the Raya Faber camp, so he's got very good wrestling, very aggressive wrestling as well. I do think he's got some good power in his hands. He's very quick, he's very fast. But I do think in this fight, he's going to come up against someone who's a little bit more experienced than him, been around the block, having gone 5 rounds multiple times, fighting against the top of the food chain in the flyweight division. I think Brandon Royval, this is also a 5-round fight, so I think Brandon Royval may just, let me take it back. I don't think he may. I do think Brandon Royval is going to out experience and outclass Tatsuro. I haven't seen Tatsuro go to 5 rounds before. He does look like a nice hot prospect. He looks like a killer kind of fighter. He goes balls to the wall, very aggressive. He pushes the pace very well. But again, I just think he's going to come up against someone that's going to have more of the range. Brandon Royval is taller. He utilizes kicks, the tips. He's not afraid to wrestle. Excuse me. And I do think that he's going to have more tools to win the fight. I think that Tatsuro is going to have to be patient here and not necessarily just try and go in the fight within the first 2 rounds. He's going to come up against, he's going to get a rude awakening if he tries that. So I think he's going to have to be patient. He's going to have to maybe utilize a lot more wrestling over the course of the 5 rounds. And that's pretty much how you've seen Brandon Royval lose in the past, is getting out grappled by people, by other fighters. He never really got outstruck or knocked out anything. It's more about, like, he got dropped before. You know, he had his ribs being cracked in one of the fights with Brandon Moreno in the first time. But the way you beat Brandon Royval is you just make sure you give him no space to work, and you kind of keep him up against the cage for as long as you can. And basically take him to the ground and out wrestle him. Although that sounds like the perfect game plan, and Royval is extremely dangerous on the ground. Obviously, like I said, he's got 9 wins by submission, so he's not afraid to be on his back or even be on top control as well. And that's probably why I'm tipping my win. That's why I'm tipping my win towards Brandon Royval. I just think he's got more tools in the toolbox to actually win this fight. I think he's going to showcase that over the course of the 5 rounds. He's going to put Tatsuro to school, take him to school for sure. But it's a mouth-watering fight for sure. Both these guys are on their way for another title shot. That's what this fight is made. Well, that's why this fight was made. Is whoever wins here can put themselves, can really stake their claim to be the next one to fight for the championship in the flyweight division for against Eric Pantoja. The one who loses is probably going to get Brandon Moreno again, or probably get Brandon Moreno, or probably get Steve Usyk, who's waiting in the wings, and Kai Cotto France, who won his last fight, by the way. He knocked out Steve Usyk. He's also making a very strong argument. So maybe the winner of this fight or the loser of this fight will probably get Kai of France next. But let me know in the comments what you think about this one. Who do you think is going to win and how? And also, what will be the next best matchup for the person that is winning and losing this fight? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep it moving. It's a very fantastic main event, by the way. I literally can't wait to watch that one. It's not necessarily the most exciting fight card from the UFC, to be quite honest, but the co-main and the main event does stack up really well. And speaking of co-main event, let's take it to the co-main event right now. We've got Brad Tavares, the legend himself, taking on Jun Yong Park in a middleweight fight, a middleweight bout. And quite interesting, actually, because on first glance, one would say, oh, let's go with Brad Tavares. He's got more experience. He's been in the UFC longer. His record is standing at 20 wins, 10 losses, 0 no contests. 5 wins by KO, 2 wins by submission, 5 first round finishes, 43% striking accuracy, and this is what was quite staggering. He's got 81% takedown defense. Brad Tavares is very hard to take down. He's a very powerful man. His significant strikes that he lands per minute is standing at 3.38, which is it's average. It's pretty much what the general average of the UFC is at right now. His last fight, he lost to Gregory Robocop Rodriguez by KO. And also prior to that, he beat Chris Weidman by unanimous decision. He desperately needs a win here because his last few fights have been win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. So he kind of needs something to, get a good win streak going. I don't know if he can make another title run, Brad Tavares. He's been in the UFC since 2010. And, the first few years he was kind of in and around that. I think after he took a loss to Easy, he kind of really had a difficult time coming back and sort of getting back on track and solidifying a nice 4 to 5 fight win streak and climb the ladder again and make a run at the title. Especially now that Rickers is the champion there, I really don't see Brad Tavares or anyone really coming up to get that title. For Jun Yong Park, he's an exciting fighter to watch. His record currently stands at 17 wins, 6 losses, and 0 no contest. 5 wins by KO, 6 wins by sub. He also has 5 first round finishes. Striking accuracy is a little bit better than Brad Tavares. He's got 51% striking accuracy with a 50% takedown defense, and he is also the more active fighter over the course of the rounds. He has a 4.43 significant strikes landed per minute. His last fight, not necessarily his last fight, but he also took a loss to Gregory Rodriguez. Prior to that, he was on a 4-fight win streak, beating fighters like Eric Anders by split decision, Holmes by sub, and to Luland by sub as well. So he's quite a finisher. He's a good fighter, though he gets decisions, but he's a never say die kind of fighter. Really good boxing, very good judo, very good wrestling. There's no slouch to being on the ground, and also he's got a good size for the middleweight. He's not necessarily the biggest middleweight, but he's got a good size, meaning that he's able to move a little bit more elusively than that of the bigger gentlemen that are in the middleweight division right now. That being said, I don't think he's going to be able to make a massive title run as well, but I do think he's an exciting fighter for the UFC to watch. In this fight, I don't think it played out. It's probably going to be in a boxing match for the first round, but it wouldn't be long before Jun Yong shoots for a takedown and probably try and get the fight done on the takedown or on the grappling exchanges, win by ground and pound, and probably submission. But he's going to get someone who's very difficult to take down in Brad Tavares. So I think the longer Brad Tavares keeps the fight standing, he sets himself up for a very good chance to win by probably like unanimous decision or just outpoint Jun Yong. But Jun Yong's got a very good right hand. He's got a very good step back and right hook. So for Jun Yong, he's probably going to have to mix it up, mixing the takedowns, stand up, mixing the takedowns, stand up again, and just keep Brad Tavares working and keep him guessing keep him on the back foot, exhaust him out because he does get exhausted, and you probably win the fight by I'd probably say split decision for him. I'm leaning towards Junior Young Park because I think he's got more to do. I think he's the more youthful fighter as it stands. Um, but that doesn't. Yeah, he just had a difficult time in the UFC, but that doesn't mean I'm saying he's a lesser fighter. I think he's got more experience. I think he's got more ways to win. But Brad usually just relies on knocking people out rather than putting all of it together. Even though he can, he's getting older, so he uses his hands more of it. So I'm going to tip it towards Junior Park. I think he's going to navigate the 15 minutes a little bit better and probably mixing takedowns and kind of guarantee that he gets the win over that 15 minutes. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that co-main event. But we keep it moving. Okay, it looks like there seems to have been a change in the card here. Because Grant Dawson was actually the one that was the fight that was scheduled after that of ours. But it looks like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Jared Gooden has moved up from the preliminary to the welterweight. So I wasn't necessarily prepared for this one. I wasn't really going to do that. But Chitty Bang Bang is going to knock out Jared for sure. End of the day, in a nutshell, he's going to be the one that's going to get the W. He's very active. He's taller. He's faster. He's got a good set of hands on him. Good boxing, and although they're both got some very good experience inside and outside of the UFC, Chidi has got a little bit more inside of the UFC, and he's got better length with 80-inch reach versus 77. So you know that Jared Gooden is probably going to try and wrestle and keep Chidi on the ground because that's going to be his best way to win the fight. But Chidi Njoku is probably going to just use his length and outbox Jared. Probably get the knockout, probably round 2. So that's going to be my pick for that one. Chidi Bang Bang getting it done in round 2, probably by knockout. But we keep it moving, ladies and gentlemen, to the fight that I did probably prepare for, which was on the card. You see this last minute changes in the UFC, so interesting. We've seen Grant Dawson taking on Rafa Garcia in the lightweight division. Grant Dawson coming into this fight with a record of 21 wins, 2 losses, and 1 no contest. 4 wins by KO, 13 wins by submission, and 7 first round finishes. His striking accuracy currently stands at 53% with a 57% takedown defense and a 3.61 takedown average per 15 minutes. This guy loves to wrestle. Grant Dawson loves to just wrestle. Beating Joe Selecki in his last fight by season, beating Jared Gordon by sub, and also lost to King Green by KO. But that doesn't take too much away by Grant Dawson's body of work in the UFC. It's a phenomenal fighter, really good wrestling. He likes to keep people up against the cage, take them down, and look to ground and pound and win fights in that kind of fashion. He's taken on someone in Rafa Garcia who's a phenomenal boxer. His record currently stands at 16 wins, 3 losses, and 0 no contest. 1 win by KO, 9 wins by submission. He's got 6 first-round finishes with a 43% striking accuracy and a 79% takedown defense. Styles make fights. This is a very stylistic fight for sure. He's got a 4.19 significant strikes landed per minute, beating Clay Guida by unanimous decision in his last fight. Rafa Garcia, watch this guy. He loves to box. He loves to throw heavy heat, heavy leather. He likes to push the pace on the front foot, chop the leg, get you up against the cage and let his hands go. And this is that kind of stylistic matchup he's going up against Grant Dawson, who is, he's taller. He's the taller fighter. He's got the longer reach with 72 inches versus Rafa Garcia's 70 inches. However, Rafa does have the cleaner boxing in this one for me. He's got the cleanest striking overall. It's just a matter of if he's able to maintain keeping it on the feet and not necessarily allowing Grant Dawson to take him down or even clinch up against the cage and keep it around those sort of heavy, grueling, grappling kind of exchanges, then Rafa's got a very good chance of winning the fight. But I said going that way, probably not. I think Grant Dawson's probably going to use his size and strength and mass to overpower the likes of Grant Dawson, Rafa Garcia. And Grant does push the pace as well. So I think they meet in the middle of the octagon. Whoever wins that first exchange about going forward is probably going to be the one that dictates the rest of the fight and most likely get the win. And I'm going to go with my guy Grant Dawson to get the W on this one. Over the 3 minutes, just out wrestle Rafa Garcia and just completely take away his best chance of winning, which is obviously the hands. All right, let's keep it moving. Here we go. Welterweight division. We have Daniel Rodriguez taking on Alex Morono, and both the gentlemen fought already in this year. Daniel Rodriguez is just he's one of the UFC's workhorses because he never says no to whenever Dana White calls for a fight. Daniel Rodriguez comes into this one with a 17 wins, 5 losses, 0 no contests, 8 wins by KO, 4 wins by submission, 5 first round finishes, 50% striking accuracy with a 58% takedown defense. And this is his best. This is one year is his best. His best statistic for me. Daniel Rodriguez's significant strikes landed per minute stands at a 7.42, which is one of the highest in the UFC, which means he loves to just go forward and throw those hands. It's what he's good at. It's what he's best at. And he's just a dog, man. Like I guess he just went into a wonderful fight against Calvin Gastelum recently in this year and won by unanimous decision. Also beating Jing Liang by split decision, as well as Kevin Lee by unanimous decision. He's fought against some very good prospects, some very good names. I mean, Calvin Gastelum fought for the title. History has shown. But Daniel Rodriguez is a fantastic boxer. Probably not going to be able to go for the title next, but he's definitely going to be one of those guys that can fill the card for the UFC and also put on performances of the night kind of thing. He's always in exciting fights. He's never in boring fights, and that's what I like about Daniel Rodriguez. He never says no, but he's going up against someone who I think is the better kickboxer in Alex Morono. His record currently stands at 24 wins, 10 losses, and 0 no contests. He's got 6 wins by KO, 7 wins by submission, and 11 first round finishes. He's got a 41% striking accuracy with a 49% takedown defense. His significant strikes per minute is not as high as Daniel Rodriguez, but it is quite high at a 4.96, which is higher than the UFC average. And he lost to Nico Price in his last fight, which wasn't that much of a good show. And I mean, he fought very well in the first round, but then he pretty much got outclassed round 2 and round 3. He also beat the fighters like Court McGee, winning in the octagon with someone like Joaquin Buckley, who's on a tear right now, and Tim Means, though he beat Tim Means by sub, and then he lost to Ponzinibbio by KO. So those are also very good names. But the body of work of Alex Morono has been quite historic in the UFC because he's a really good fighter. Like I said, he's a fantastic kickboxer. His technique is really good. He just doesn't have that power, man. I don't think he's going to have the power to put Daniel Rodriguez away. If he does, he's probably going to have to utilize something like calf kicks or deep kicks to sort of take away the base of Daniel Rodriguez or take away his gas tank as well. So that will probably set him up to later on in the later rounds probably get the finish or win by points that way. But I do think Daniel Rodriguez is the stronger puncher. I do think he's got the reach advantage at 74 inches versus 72. He's got good experience with the boxing exchanges. And I think the forward pressure from Daniel Rodriguez is one of his best weapons. A lot of fighters struggle to deal with that. And Alex Morono gets tired when he fights with the back foot because he throws a lot of spinning attacks. He throws spinning heel kicks, switch kicks. He throws a lot of heavy attacks that take a lot of stamina, and you can't do it over the course of 15 minutes. I haven't seen him do it over 15 minutes. He usually gets tanked after round 2, and then he's pretty tired. And Daniel Rodriguez, he can go 15 minutes. He's not scared of going for 15 minutes. He's no newbie when it comes to that. So I think Daniel Rodriguez is probably going to be more experienced enough to win the fight, especially with the boxing combinations. He's got a very strong jab as well, and he's got the reach advantage here. And if he can check Alex Morono's leg kicks, he's probably going to get the fight done over the course of the 15 minutes. So Daniel Rodriguez for the win there over 15 minutes for me. Okay, keep it moving. This is my last build-up or prediction on the card, but I will touch base on some of the other fights on the card that deserve some mentions. This next fight, we see Abdul Razak Al Hassan taking on Josh Fremd. So I haven't necessarily seen Josh Fremd fight that much, to be quite honest. I've seen some tape of him. He's not that bad, actually. I mean, his record so far stands at 11 wins and 6 losses, 0 no contests, 4 wins by KO, 4 wins by sub, and 3 wins by 3 first-round finishes, 44% striking accuracy and a 30% takedown defense. His significant strikes per minute is currently sitting at 2.52, so it's a little bit lower than the average, but it's not bad. His last fight, he lost to Platowski by unanimous decision. And then beating Pickett by unanimous decision and Dumas by sub, who looks a lot like one of those rappers. And he fought and is close to a unanimous decision as well. But one of his best attributes is obviously he's mixing it up of the mixed martial arts. He has a very good boxing game. Got a nice height for this division as well in the middleweight, 6.4. But his best thing is to obviously grind you out with some just some grueling wrestling and utilize that with some good ground and pound to win his fights. He's going up against someone that is super aggressive and powerful in Abdul Razak Al Hassan. His record currently sits at 12 wins, 6 losses, and 0 no contest. He's got 12 wins by KO, so he's got a 100% finishing rate, by the way. 11 first round finishes, 50% striking accuracy, and 52% takedown defense. Alazan's significant strikes per minute stands at 3.62, very accurate. He had a no contest with Cody Brandage in his last fight. He lost to fighters like Joe Pfeiffer by submission and also beat Ribeiro by KO. Abdullah Razak Al Hassan, I have to talk about because obviously he's got some mega beef with my guy Dricus Du Plessis. This is the middleweight division. So he's obviously going to want to climb the ranks as fast as he can to sort of get that fight against Dricus. I think Dricus smokes him, to be quite honest. I think Dricus beats anyone in the middleweight division right now. But he has to fight, obviously, Sean Strickland next first. Who do I think is going to win this fight? So we've got Alazan with the heavy hands. And he's finishing fights. All his fights are just in finishes. And you got Josh Frame, who obviously likes to use the ground and pound and keep up against the cage and clinches and just, smash them basically and wear them out over the course of the five or 3 rounds, whatever it is. I think this is a 3-round fight. I think Abdul Razak's best chance is probably going to come over the first round or second round. He's probably going to try and get a knockout in those first 10 minutes. If he doesn't get the knockout, I think Josh Frame's probably going to just out-grapple him, make him tired, take him to the ground, probably get a submission, or probably just ground and pound Abdul done. That's actually the two fighters probably getting their best chance to win the fight. But I'm going to tip it towards Abdul Razak Al Hassan just because I actually want him to go up against Dricus. I want to see him climb the ranks. He's probably not going to get Dricus anytime soon. He's going to have to fight someone else if he wins this fight. But I would love to see him climb the ranks because after all that beef that he has over the mic. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got, Abdul. But anyway, that's that fight. Let me know what you think about it. Give me your thoughts in the comments. Love to hear your thoughts. But I want to give some honorable mentions to some of the other fights that are taking place on this card, which I think could have been on the main card as well. So Josh Pierce and Pat Sabatini should be a good fight as well. Both these guys are fantastic. Sabatini's got really good wrestling, and Jonathan Pierce has got some fantastic boxing. Temba Gorimbo versus Nico Price. They always put the Nico Price on the preliminary. I think he's worthy of going on to a main card. Even just the featured or the opening bout on the main card against Temba would have been fantastic to watch. And then you obviously Chris Barnett. Like, who doesn't like Chris Barnett? You got this chubby guy that's just got this fantastic kickboxing, throw some, high kicks, switch kicks, spinning kicks. He's just a ball of fire, and it's lovely to watch. And he's taking on Julian Taffa, who's a fan favorite. Like, they should have been on the main card as well, if you ask me. So people look out for those two fights. And then there's two ladies. They were actually on the main card. Julia Polastri versus Corey McKenna. Like they were on the main card. I would have loved to have seen that fight. It's pretty much okay. But anyway, this event is taking place this Sunday, 13th of October at 1 a.m. South African time. So stay tuned for that. That is my breakdown and my preview. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about what you think about this fight card and who's going to win. And also, like I said, you will catch myself and the rest of the panel when we recap the fights on later that Sunday after watching the event. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And hit the notification bell to stay in touch. We love the support. We're on our way to our first 1,000 subscribers. Also, the engagement in the comments is just fantastic. I just love all of it. So many thanks for all that support. Keep it up. And on that note, we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.